Hey, you can call me Cog, and this is Transmoon. First things first. With this build, the one thing that I wanted was to express myself. My goal with this build was to use only the Moonlight for damage. I've always loved using the Moonlights in every FromSoft game, and I was a little bummed when I found out that you couldn't wield a melee weapon in both hands in this game like you could in For Answer. And so this was the closest approximation that I could make to a build just like this one that I had in For Answer called Transform. I made do by choosing the Jamming Bomb launcher for my main hand and the Pulse Shield launcher for the back right shoulder. The main body parts were about 70% chosen for fashion and about 30% chosen for the Basho arms. The Basho arms are absolutely required. Highest melee specialization means that any melee focused build kind of needs to use these arms, otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot. The core and the head aren't necessarily the most important parts. It was pretty much just the set of pieces that could survive and actually be able to have the right amount of energy and fit within the load limits. Headpiece, pretty much. The only reason I chose the Shade Eye is because of that sick-ass visor that comes down. That is 100% an aesthetic choice. I'm sure you could probably change this up if you really, really wanted to, but the Moonlights are nowhere near the best weapons in the game, and you are left pretty vulnerable a lot of the time if you have slower leg pieces. Granted, you can survive a lot of things because, you know, tank parts are just tank parts, but in my honest opinion, having the mobility from the reverse joint legs, especially having the mobility in the base jump, is absolutely necessary for a build like this that requires a high usage of the environment. So if you don't have something that can move around or at least respond comfortably to your commands, attempting to run just the double Moonlights is pretty much going to net you a loss in every match you go into, unless you're super cracked and have like the world's best manual aim and are perfectly capable of staying within that 200 meter like sweet spot that the Moonlights have. The internal parts are a little bit more odd than I imagine you might have expected. For one, I'm not running the Santai. I was running the Mingtong for quite some time because its energy recharge delay was faster than the Hokushi's, but once I actually started getting used to the rhythm of the Hokushi, I found that it allows me to keep my energy at max, always ready for like a lot of engagements. Because the thing about this build is that you're running around a lot and you're using a lot of energy to place yourself because you have to move in and out of the placements of the Pulse Shield launcher and Jamming Bomb, obviously. FCS, I don't have the Acellus. People tell me that I should use that part, but since I don't have that part, what I've landed on is the Talbot because it has the most balanced close and medium range assist that I could find. But even then, that stuff only really matters to me personally for orientation and when I more so want to focus on placing my AC other places. I'm not so much using it to aim because for that I kind of have to balance soft lock and manual aim pretty frequently. And the booster is the Alula because while the Berzel has better assault boost, the Alula has better quick boost reload time, and it also has better quick boost abilities, which for me are really, really necessary because they allow for, you know, basically mistake corrections. And I don't know, I just feel a little bit more clunky with the Berzels overall. The expansion, personal preference, doesn't really matter. Although for me, I love using Assault Armor the most. I do understand that the Pulse Armor is kind of the best expansion to use, and Terminal Armor is the most cancerous expansion to use, but I just really love Assault Armor. I'm a For Answer meathead, what can I say? So this is the build I've sort of cobbled together through the trials of Armored Core 6 PvP. Shout outs to all the different Armor Core servers that I'm in. If you want the share data for this AC, here's the share ID on screen right now. It's for PlayStation. Unfortunately, I don't have the game on Steam. But eventually, I'll get it and host lobbies on Steam for everybody to come and beat me up. For now, enjoy some clips. So you'll see me aim down and use the jamming bomb launcher a lot. The main reason that I do that instead of doing the charge attack is because in the time that these clips were taken, the most recent update hadn't come out, the 1.04 update, and the jamming bomb launcher hadn't yet had its charge attack time decreased. And also, I didn't know about the charge attack at that point, so that was the quickest and easiest way that I could reliably get the jamming bomb launcher placed directly on top of me. Placing my smoke down and surrounding it with shields like this, I usually call a 360 defense. I assault armored right there because I was overheated in every other option. And sometimes when I stagger somebody and I have no other options, all I can do is either kick or assault armor, which is part of the reason why I enjoy having assault armor versus pulse armor, because having that one extra option to deal damage can be invaluable depending on the match. Whenever I fire a single shield in front of myself and do nothing else, I call that a break. A lot like a billiards break. Breaks are useful both as an aggressive tool that can build stagger really quickly on an enemy, or as a good defensive tool, like to catch somebody who's assault boosting in really quickly, place somewhere where you know an enemy is going to be coming through because of the environment around you or AoE damage that's going on. As well as you can fire a break and then maneuver around the shield using it to block incoming attacks depending on the angle. So one of the first things that I'm going to explain before all of these clips continue to play is the concept of my shield formations. To make a very long story short, shield formations are sort of how I've mentally come to think about placing the pulse shield launcher and using the jamming bomb launcher in conjunction with each other. Because if I don't think about them as preset formations that I whip out for specific scenarios or, mix and match in order to achieve specific baited results, then this is just too overwhelming for me to think about. If you play fighting games, one of the ways that this might help you think about this build, should you try it, is if you think about it like Venom from Guilty Gear, should you happen to have any sort of experience with him. But if not, that won't mean anything to you, so moving on. Another common formation that I use is I'll break, and then I'll place a jamming bomb directly to either the left or the right side of it in order to sort of force my opponent into moving one way or the other. A very fun interaction is passing through the jamming bomb cloud and watching whatever missiles were tracking you just start going in other directions. Aerial breaks facing downward are a very useful tool because the pulse shield launcher actually travels a slight distance after you fire it. It's about 25 or so meters that it travels after deploying at around 80 meters. So all in all, you've got about 100 meters, 110 meters of range, depending on the specific angle that you're shooting at / from. With the Moonlight, you're able to quick boost out of any of the slashes. Either the first slash, the second slash, and even the charge slash. But with the charge slash, there's only a few frames at the beginning that you're able to do it with. Something that I haven't seen as many people say, however, is that you can also slow down your momentum by doing either the charged attack or just a basic slash. Depending on which one you do, it'll slow down your momentum at a different rate, at least from what I've seen. I haven't done any data mining or anything like that, so I don't know exact values, but anecdotally, it's another way that you can forcibly maneuver your AC in ways that can trip up your opponent. Right there is an example of me charging up the Moonlight blade in order to slow down my momentum. You'll see me do 180 quick turn at the end of a match very often, and that is for two reasons. One, cool people don't look at explosions, and two, because I like to see the visor come up from the shade eye at the end of the match. With tank builds like this, something that is a little bit difficult to keep in mind, especially with the more aggressive ones, is that I can't really allow myself to focus on whether or not they're going to be staggered and what their stagger bar is at. I just have to focus on making sure that I get as many hits as I can in while avoiding each and every punish that comes my way. You might look at some of the damage that these charged Moonlight attacks do and wonder to yourself, wow, that doesn't do as much damage as I feel like it does. That's because, yes, it doesn't. A lot of these clips were recorded before the 1.04 patch, where they buffed the Moonlight's charged attack. Quick lesson on the jamming bomb launcher. The smoke cloud cannot be aimed through if both opponents are on opposite ends of the smoke cloud, if one opponent is completely inside the smoke cloud and another opponent is completely outside of the smoke cloud, or if your opponent is completely inside the smoke cloud and you are outside of it, you can't aim inside. If you're both inside the smoke cloud, you can aim at each other. Manual aim ignores everything to do with the smoke cloud and is purely dependent on the skill of the person. Your opponent will be warned by the beeping noise if you do a charged attack at them, but they will not be warned if you manually aim it. The plasma verticals are a very, very tough weapon for me to deal with. Really, any weapon with an AoE can be tough to deal with because it's still capable of dealing damage through the jamming bomb and the pulse shield both. But as I've gotten more and more used to how each weapon tracks you, it's gotten easier to place the AoEs in spot where they either clip me for minimal damage or are just avoided outright. On top of offensive encampment, I also have a bunker-style shield formation, and I have a vertical shell shield formation. Firing the jamming bomb launcher at somebody is just as useful as firing the jamming bomb launcher on top of yourself. Both of them will accomplish the goal of making you harder to hit, they just do it in different ways. Seeing this player slowly steal my build was such a joy for me in the process of creating this. This isn't the last person who has taken my build, but these matches in particular were some of my favorites. As you can see, brakes are also useful for blocking things on reaction, but it is extremely difficult as projectiles travel pretty fast in this game. This last match here is actually very recent and was done as part of a ladder match for a ladder event that is currently going on over in the PSN Armored Core 6 Discord, which I will have linked in the description along with some other Discords that I have joined. There's a playlist on my channel where I'm going to be uploading all of my ladder matches, and I already have 5 of them uploaded for you to watch. Thanks if you've made it this far in the video. If you want to see more gameplay from TransMoon, feel free to swing by my Twitch stream Sundays, Tuesdays, usually in the afternoons. Sometimes I stream on Thursdays as well, and that's pretty much everything. I don't have a fancy sign off, but you can call me Cog, and I'll catch you next time.